Um, to all the activists of Never Again Enough, stand with them, voice, and march for our lives. Dear activists and advocates, knowing that there may be a long road forward, I hope that you don't get discouraged, that you stay energized, because I can tell all of you, I can tell that you all have stamina needed for this cause, and this cause will be achieved, this cause will be won. My nephew Josh has been truly inspired by all of you, and he has taken up the cause at his high school. He has taken up all the causes that have been achieved and won have required true devotion, sometimes sacrifice. Martin Luther King Jr., civil rights, Susan B. Anthony, women's suffrage, Nelson Mandela, end apartheid, Lech Walesa, Solidarity trade union movement in Poland in the early 1980s, standing up to that time Soviet Union. Also Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, the United Farm Workers. Many activists who have advocated for the Vietnam War, many advocates who have advocated for self-rule in Northern Ireland and an end to violence, including sectarian violence in Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland finally won its self-rule in 1998 with the signing of the Good Friday Accord, also known as the Belfast Treaty, signed by then Prime Minister Tony Blair, Irish Taoiseach Bertie Ahern, brokered by President Clinton of the United States, and one of the main architects of this treaty negotiation by Gerry Adams, leader of the Sinn Féin political wing of the Irish Republican Army, and architect of this treaty. Since then, there has been no violence in Northern Ireland, only peace. Many activists have had to put their lives on hold for their cause, but it was worth it because their causes were achieved, their causes were won. All causes were achieved and all causes were won. They all took stamina, patience, and most importantly, courage. Remember, it's when the powers that be try to intimidate you, or try to bully you, or try to scare you away, that you know that you've done the right thing. And it's also at that moment that you know that you can, because if they didn't think you could win, they wouldn't intimidate you, try to bully you, try to scare you away. So in this cause, be brave. Carry on. My nephew Josh is rooting for you. I wish you all the success in the world. Most importantly, courage. I also know that you will win this truly worthy and noble cause. I stand with my nephew Josh in this cause. I also stand with you. Respectfully yours, Maxwell R. Flint. Postscript. 7 virtues of a worthy cause. True devotion. Many activists have put their lives on hold. Stamina. It takes a lot of energy to be persistent. 3. Willingness to sacrifice. MLK Jr. had to use civil disobedience, but MLK Jr. himself said, obey all just laws, but civilly disobey all unjust laws. But you must be willing to accept the penalty. It may be necessary to call a student strike, whereas you go on strike, whereas you go to school, but you don't go inside the school building. Instead, you stay outside and picket and demand a ban on assault weapons, or at least raise the minimum age of assault weapons to 21. But try to get all the high schools in your state to do this at the same time and show solidarity to this, because to the state house governors, because what they in the NRA don't want you to know is that federal funding is paid in monthly installments and is per student. Therefore, if enough students go on strike for at least a month and it's statewide, your state will not get their monthly installment for the next month. And the state house in each state knows that, and they will take notice, and they will either pass a ban on assault weapons or raise the minimum age of assault weapons to 21. So don't let them bluff you. You may want to consider establishing student unions. And 4, willingness, also willingness to accept that it may be your younger siblings or your children or even your grandchildren that benefit from winning this cause. Willingness to make difficult decisions. Some of your friends may be on the other side of your issue, and try to, if you can respectfully disagree with them and still be friends, try to do that. But if it's not possible, then you may have to dissolve your friendship with them. But at same scenario, people on the other side, other youth that you never liked very much, if they, however, are on the same side of the issue that you're, and your side of the cause, the same side of the cause, you may have to learn to become friends with them and learn to work together. Patience. From the day that Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, it took almost 10 years until civil rights was passed. From the first anti-war protest, it took 10 years until the war came to an end. From the first strike at Lenin shipyards at Gdansk, Poland, it took 9 years until the Berlin Wall came down and the Iron Curtain came down and Poland was free from Soviet rule and Poland was a democracy. It took more than 16 years from the very day that Bobby Sands in prison in Northern Ireland went on his hunger strike until Northern Ireland finally won self-rule with the signing of the Good Friday Accord, also known as the Belfast Treaty, brokered by then-President Bill Clinton and Gerry Adams, leader of the Sinn Féin, signed by British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and Irish Taoiseach Bertie Ahern. Most importantly, courage. Not to sound redundant, but it's when your opponents try to intimidate you, try to bully you, try to scare you away, that you know that you're doing the right thing. It's at that moment that you know that you can win, because if they didn't think you could win, they wouldn't try to intimidate you, try to scare you, try to bully you away. So if you don't remember anything else, always remember virtue number 7. Just one more thing. Always stay focused. Again, my nephew Josh and I stand with you. Always.